10-4, I started grading them and I noticed some concepts that were missing, and I'm going to go back through, and this would be the key also. So what I'm going to do is, it says graph, and then find the domain and range, and then evaluate the graph at the specified domain and range. I'm going to go through these problems like I would attempt them. So first of all, this is y equals x plus 3. And it goes from -8 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to draw a fence. And then I'm going to draw a fence at 1. Okay, so this is the only place that the graph is going to show up is between these two fences. And so if I did x equals, if I had y equals x plus 3, I would start here, up 1, right 1, but at 1 it is an open dot. So that's an open dot. And then it's going to go down 1. And then at -8, it's a closed dot. And then what I go do is I go and erase my fence. So that's part of the graph. Okay. Then on the next one, I have a fence at 1. And at 7. And all I'm going to do is graph between these two fences. And this says y equals 10 minus 2x, so my intercept is 10. And it's here. Okay? But I don't start it until 1, so my first one and at 1 is a closed dot. And I'm going down 2 and right 1. And I'm going here, and that's also a closed dot. And then I connect my line. And then I erase my fence. So there's my graph. On here, there is a stop and a stop, a stop and a stop, and I know that when they're closed and when they are open. So my domain is I'm going to start looking left to right. And where did I start? I started at -8. And it was closed. And I go all the way across and I'm looking if there's any gaps. And it looks, and because this is open but this is closed, there's not a gap. And it goes all the way to 7. And it is closed. So if I'm taking and going like this, there is no place that I never touched. Okay? Then for the range, I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. And the bottom, the lowest part is -5. And as I go up, there's still not a gap. And it goes all the way up to 8. Okay. Now on these, it said evaluate the graph at the specified domain. If I messed up my graph, I'm going to mess up my evaluation. So what I'm going to do is f of 1 equals, that says x equals 1. 1 is not here because it's not an underline, it's here. So I'm going to do 10 minus 2 times 1, and that's 8. I'm going to find out which bound it is, and I'm going to go evaluate it there. So f equals -8. -8 is in this one, so I have -8 plus 3, which is -5. Then I go 8. Well, 8 does not fall between negative 8 and 1. And 8 does not fall between 1 and 7. So I can't even do that. And when I can't do it, it's undefined. Okay. This one is for x is greater than 0. Would be everything from this axis on. Oh, sorry. X is less than 0. It would be from this axis here. And a negative slope would do this. And in order for me, up one, right one, in order for me to tell that it doesn't have a closed or an open circle, I have to have that arrowhead. No arrowhead, it becomes a line segment and a line segment. So on when you have to graph for this unit, you have to have either an open dot, closed dot, or arrowhead on the end of your lines to indicate you know what's going on. And then for this one, we're doing this. And this is actually the absolute value function as a piecewise. So the domain says, what can I plug in for x? Everything. And so when I can say, oh, I can't do infinities while talking. If I can plug in anything, then it's negative infinity to infinity. If I asked you where the graph was located, you would say it's located above the x-axis. And it keeps on going. So if I want to say it's above the x-axis, so right here, above the x-axis means y is 0, and then it goes to infinity. So then f of 0, and so I say f of 0, and it's not into this one, it's in here, it's 0. And then if f of x equals negative 4, so y equals negative 4. So I want y equals negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking where does the graph hit there, and it doesn't. And so that is undefined. So as you're working through these problems, you have to pay attention to where your open dots and closed dots are. You can evaluate through here, especially on the f ofs. Okay, here. I'm going to go from x is less than negative 1 to x is greater than negative 1. Right there, I know what my domain is because this says I can plug in anything less than negative 1 and I can plug in anything greater than negative 1. And if I can do that, then that is all real numbers or negative infinity to positive infinity. It told me I can do that. Negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay? This tells me sometimes what my domain is also. So then I go at x is less than negative 1, so I draw my fence, only one fence, because it doesn't give me another bound. And it says y equals 2x plus 3. So y equals 2x plus 3. I go to 3, 1, 2. Sorry about that. I go to 3. One, two, 3. And I'm going up to right 1, but that's not, I don't want to go that way. I want to come this way. So I go here, and I'm coming down, following the negatives, or the slope. Okay, it's a line. To tell you that it is not stopping, I have to put an arrowhead. And then it includes negative 1, so it has to have a dot. And then I erase my fence. That was my phone. I had it propped up. Okay, so that's that part. Okay, then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go x is greater than negative 1. Oh, should have paid attention, didn't have to erase my fence. And I'm doing 5x. So I started at 0. That right there But because it doesn't include -1, that's going to be an open dot. And that's a pretty steep one. And so I have it graphed. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the range. This, how far down? Well, that arrow says it can go down as far as it wants. When it got up to here, that's okay, because as soon as it got up to here, it continues on going up. So this is also negative infinity and infinity. Okay? When f of x equals 1, when does y equals 1? I'm going to come right here. Okay? Y equals 1. Y equals 1 is in this function, because 1 is... So when I say y equals 1, I'm going right here, and it hit both lines. It hit a closed dot and it hit the line. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to say 1 equals 2x plus 3, solve it, and so x has to be -1. And then 1 equals 5x and 1/5. Okay, if it hits it, it can have two answers. It's both, and this is how you tell me it hit twice. And then y equals 0, same thing. It hits it here, and it hits it here. So I'm going to plug it. I'm going to say 0 equals 2x plus 3. So I swing this over, and it would be -3/2. And where else did it hit it? And I say 0 equals 5x, so x equals 0. So if it hits it twice, you plug it into the equations. You don't approximate. Okay? The next one, I'm going to stop the video because I'm running out of time on this, and I'm going to pick up on 4 through 8 on the next video.